So the mobile gaming industry is a huge phenomenon right now and a multi-billion-dollar juggernaut. Games like Flappy Bird and Look at Kim Kardashian's Ass have taken over the mobile market, and people are spending hand over fist on these mobile games because everyone has a smartphone. Nintendo recently entered the mobile market with Miitomo, which is an interesting app that allows you to ask questions and play dress up and whatnot. But a lot of people feel like Nintendo kind of dropped the ball and that they once again were behind in the times with this whole mobile situation, and they should have been doing mobile stuff sooner. Well, what if I told you that Nintendo necessarily wasn't behind the times? What if I told you that back in 2001, Nintendo was devising something that could have shaped mobile gaming as we know it now? Mobile gaming would have been a whole different ballgame if this had ever come to be. So today we're going to take a look at Nintendo's phone patent from 2001 and find out why it could have changed mobile gaming and Nintendo forever. So back in 2001, Nintendo was working on a cell phone that, like I said, would have changed mobile gaming forever. If you take a look at the image over here, you can see that this was a Nintendo branded cell phone that had a D-pad and a B and A button. Now this is huge because at the time, there wasn't apps available for your phone. Your phone essentially was for taking, text messages and for calling people. You didn't have Androids and smartphones and iPhones and all these different interconnected things. It was all tied into what phone you had. So a Nintendo branded phone could have made a huge splash. You gotta remember, in 2001, Nintendo was ending the N64, the GameCube was coming out, the PS2 had just come out, so Nintendo was still a big brand at this time. Not to say that they aren't now, but this was a huge brand at the time. Xbox and Microsoft were just getting into the game, so a lot of people looked at Nintendo, Sega, and Sony as the big three. So the Nintendo phone would have been very interesting because you would have downloaded games onto this phone. Judging by this picture, it looks like there was a digital download store, which at the time, there was nothing like that at the time on, home consoles or even handhelds. So this would have been really interesting. You would have had access to essentially Game Boy games on your cell phone. And it looks like they were full releases too. You had stuff like Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, Metroid 2, all sorts of stuff. So it would have been really interesting to see how this would have blossomed and how this would have grown. The most important thing about this patent is that Nintendo could have dominated the mobile market before there was even a mobile market. You have to imagine that if Nintendo would have got into this in 2001 or 2002, that the gameplay and the landscape would have been completely different. Companies wouldn't be releasing these terrible mobile games based on touch gimmicks because it looks like D-pads could have been the standard, which is still the standard on home consoles and even handhelds. Yes, touchscreens probably would have came along and been added, but maybe more like a Nintendo DS thing. Would Nintendo have abandoned the handheld market in lieu of the mobile market if things had been successful? I think maybe. I mean, essentially you have a phone that plays your games. If Nintendo could find a way to release almost like a handheld phone system, it would have been huge for the company. And really, it would have generated a lot of revenue. And the mobile market, like I said, would have been completely different. So it's a really interesting what-if scenario because I really think that Nintendo should have gone through with this. At the least, it would have been an interesting experiment into mobile gaming before mobile gaming was even a thing. So the next time you think that Nintendo is behind in the times, remember, there's always patents out there that will get discovered later on that show that, hey, maybe Nintendo knows what they're doing. Let me know what you think of the Nintendo phone in the comment section below. Let me know if you would have think it would have changed mobile gaming forever, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.